Romeo and Juliet, Act 3. Act 3 begins with Mercutio, a friend of Romeo, and Benvolio, a cousin of Romeo, run into Tybalt on the street. Romeo then arrives and is challenged to a fight by Tybalt. Romeo refuses because he knows that he and Tybalt are family, which Tybalt doesn't know. Mercutio decides to fight Tybalt in Romeo's place. The battle ends poorly when Mercutio is killed. He reminds them that he never really signed up for this kind of action and says, "A curse on both your houses." Romeo, now blinded by fury, avenges his grave friend and kills Tybalt. The prince hears about this fight and is none too happy that his relative Mercutio is dead. To appease the two families, Romeo is banished from Verona rather than killed. Scene 2 begins with an impatient Juliet, who is waiting for Romeo to arrive. She makes a reference to Phaeton, son of Phoebus, who drove the sun chariot west but couldn't control it. She is waiting for night to come so she can see Romeo. The nurse bursts in and breaks the news that Tybalt is dead and Romeo killed him. At first, Juliet mourns for the loss of her cousin, but then realizes that Tybalt was a jerk and would have killed Romeo anyways, so she devotes her grief to her banished husband. In Scene 3, Romeo hides at Friar Lawrence's and believes that death is favorable over his banishment because it is keeping him from Juliet. The nurse comes in and says that Juliet is dreadfully sad, and upon hearing this, Romeo attempts suicide. Friar Lawrence calls Romeo a wuss and tells him to man up. He should be ashamed that because he killed someone, Romeo would kill himself rather than face the consequences and get out with his life. The good friar says that Romeo may spend one last night with Juliet before leaving for his exile in Mantua the next morning, which greatly lifts Romeo's spirit. He also promises to send Balthazar with news of Verona from time to time, for the prince may let Romeo return. In Scene 4, Capulet promises that Juliet will marry him on Thursday. He believes it will lift the heaviness off of Juliet's heart for her cousin's death. This is dramatic irony because Capulet believes Juliet is crying over the death of her cousin when she is actually crying about Romeo's banishment. In Scene 5, Romeo and Juliet separate in the morning. Juliet gets home. Her mother informs her that she is marrying Paris. Juliet does not want to marry Paris and tells her parents. Capulet becomes outraged and threatens to put her on the streets where she would die if he does not do what she is told. The nurse offers her no help after she agrees with Capulet that she should marry Paris. Juliet pretends to go to Friar Lawrence for a confession when really she goes to see if he has any ideas that would help her escape marrying Paris to be with Romeo, and he has quite the ingenious plan.